Hey everyone, welcome back. This is episode 8 of CNY Conversations. I'm Jason Klink. Today I'm here with my friend Liam O'Brien, and Liam and I had connected through another connection of mine through the CNY Business Persons and Entrepreneurs group, Facebook group, and we help plan most of the network gatherings that we do for the group. Liam, thanks for joining me here today.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Liam and I wanted to jump on the podcast today because of with the conversation being the flavor of local businesses and local business owners, which I thought Liam's insight into a lot of the best practices for local businesses would be very valuable to anybody that's watching or listening to the podcast. Liam, why don't you give everybody a little bit of your background, what you do, and where you came from?
Yeah, I am the founder of PCFG Insurance. I'm an entrepreneur. I've owned a couple different construction companies, one in Florida, one here in the area. I'm a Army combat veteran and born and raised in Canada.
Thank you for your service.
My pleasure. Easiest job I ever had. That's what I like to tell people.
Oh, nice.
But born and raised in Canada, moved to the States in 2005 and never looked back. So
nice.
Here I am.
Where in Canada?
Northern Ontario. So
okay.
About 8 hours north of Syracuse.
Okay, I gotcha. I actually work for a Canadian company that's based out of Ottawa. And I always tell them that they're just a couple hours drive north of the border for me. So,
yeah.
So, one of the things I thought of to discuss with this podcast was, what are some of the most common mistakes you see with local business owners as far as their business structure or, creating those best practices around their business to be successful?
Yeah. So I think the biggest one is just not getting out there. Sales is the big thing. You and I both, Jason, are in sales. So
yep.
For us, we understand what selling is for the most part. There's a lot of learning to do. It's
Yep.
a very broad topic with a lot of different pulls to the left and the right of it. But what a lot of entrepreneurs I find lack is the understanding that your business lives and dies by two things. One, sales, and two, marketing. Now, a lot of companies will, like larger companies, we see, there's sales departments and then there's marketing departments, right? And it's always one plays off the other. And that's where a lot of businesses, I think, struggle to meet goals. And instead of working in a linear kind of mentality where we're all on the same team, where, sales needs marketing and marketing needs sales, because without sales, there's no point in marketing because you don't have money coming in. So that's where I see a lot of small business owners, in the area. This is nationwide, of course, but in the area, just lack the understanding that they have to go out and sell. So if you're just, especially if you're just starting, right? So people just think that I'm going to start a website or a Facebook page and people are going to miraculously just start buying my product or service. I hate to say it, but that's not
so much. I wish.
Not how it works. I wish it was that easy.
Right.
But you have to learn how to sell. And I'm not talking about sales as we know it, as a lot of people know it, as used car salesman, right? We all see sales a lot of times when people say oh, that's a salesman. They picture from when their parents were buying cars and that big smoker comes out of the car dealership and stumbling over himself and unkept and trying to be all sly, and he's telling people how great this vehicle is, but it doesn't even meet what they need. So don't be like that.
And it's funny you bring that up, because when I got into real estate, like coming out, I've said this 6 million times, so bear with me. But, coming out of public safety and learning about real estate, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about sales, definitely didn't know anything about marketing, and had to go in and learn all that. But you know what? And a lot of people in sales forget that we are so connected and everybody has so much information at their fingertips that if you're going to try to pitch someone or trick them into a sale, it's just not going to happen because nobody's going to buy somebody's BS. You have to be genuine. You have to provide value. And these are all the things that I had to learn instead of, getting on social media and going buy or sell, buy or sell, buy or sell when it came to real estate.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it was the same thing for me when I got into insurance back in 2008. I started with a company called, I won't name the name because people start Googling it and
yeah, right.
cause all kinds of issues. But the company I started with, gave me a quick learning experience on how not to be. Their mantra was just literally, if it has a pulse and a bank account, sell it. And that wasn't who I was, right? It's still not who I am. I mean, I'll turn down a sale if I have to because it's just the product. I can't help that person. So coming from a place of service with your clients and understanding what their needs are, do some fact finding, and really cut the BS out of it. People will make small talk on the first get-go, and today's day and age, people don't like that.
No,
I've had to adjust my how I do it and kind of keep myself on track too, because I like to talk, I like to get to know people, but when you have a prospective client, they don't want and don't really have time to sit there and talk about the weather, and learn about their family and all that stuff. I mean, unless that's your industry.
Yep.
But what they want you to do is understand their needs and how can you bring a solution to their problem.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just thinking of, so we recently bought a new vehicle and we went to this dealership and it wasn't in the local area. And the car salesman, he comes out, and everybody, I think everybody relates sales to car salesmen just because of the sleazy car salesman of years past. But the car salesman comes out and we asked some questions about the vehicles. He gave us some information and he goes, "All right, if you need me, I'll be inside." Hands us his card and walked away. And I'm like, wow, that was kind of, he didn't hover. He didn't try to, ask all the redundant questions or anything. He just went, "Here, let me know if you need me." And that was it. And I think that, coming, like you said, coming from a place of value, and one of the things I used to loathe in real estate was cold calling, and there's some validity to cold calling, but when I first learned about cold calling, it was getting on the phone and saying, "Hey, we just listed a home in your neighborhood. Do you know anybody who wants to sell theirs, or do you want to sell yours, or anybody that wants to buy?" And it's like, nobody, they're just going to go click, even if they do answer the phone.
Right. And so one of the things I recently learned, I'm a huge student. I mean, I'm constantly reading about all kinds of stuff, business, marketing, sales, and things like that, because knowledge is power, but it's only power if you apply what you've learned. And you could read a whole book, but even if 1% of that book brings you some kind of value, it's going to be better than you not reading it at all. So one of the things I learned recently was just changing your verbiage a little bit. And so things like using opportunity in your verbiage, doing a pause, things like that really helps to bring value in how you discover that call. So in cold calling, especially, I know in insurance and in real estate also, I'm not speaking from real estate from personal experience there, but I did do car sales back in 2000. It was my first job in the United States, was car sales. It was for a small Ford dealership in Milton, Florida. And the guy that was the top sales guy was the only one who he would be outside. and he would greet you as soon as you showed up. And I learned a lot by that. He would greet you, he would get your names, he would remember your names, and he would bring you a water. He'd have a cooler of ice cold waters because it's Milton, Florida. I mean, in the
Oh
summertime,
yeah.
it's 98 degrees, and so he would do that, and then he would bring them inside, sit them down, and ask them information that was privy and pertinent to the buying process. And he sold more cars than anyone else in that dealership. And when I started mimicking what he was doing, I mean, I started selling cars because that was a tough job, man. Those guys that sell cars, hats off to them. But just leaving your client to their own devices is not an answer. Yes, I mean, we can pick up our phones and have access to the information on the car in a matter of milliseconds and all this stuff. But if I'm coming to you to buy a car, it's because I have a problem and I need you to fix this problem for me because I either don't have the expertise, the time, or the knowledge to do it. So yeah.
Have you ever studied spin selling?
Yes, I actually have the book behind me.
I dove into that a little bit here recently. And it's all more about consultative selling. It's about, labeling and positioning, and always bringing value. And I thought, and realistically, that book's not new.
No.
That information is not new.
It's been out since the 80s.
Yeah. So it's really taken it must have, I always think that must have been kind of cutting edge at the time when that came out. And really it's almost a more accepted practice now than it probably when it was written and when it was released.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree. Just some of the things in that book are a little outdated because you have to be careful when you're getting into consultative selling, because what ends up happening is that we go too far into the weeds with our questions, and people just get drowned out by questions and then they get exhausted. I mean, life insurance, for example, there's a needs analysis in life insurance, and anybody listening that's ever sat down with a life insurance agent or is ever thinking about it, make sure you get a needs analysis, because what that's going to do is it's going to dictate how much insurance you need and for what. But the questionnaire is so long. I mean, it's like 30, 50 questions. So what you have to do is you have to bring that down to 5 to, I would say, 10 at the most questions that will paint the picture of your client's needs. Because a lot of times your client doesn't necessarily know what they want. They think they know what they want,
right?
But they really don't. So yeah, diving into that is important. But I always tell people, be careful, because there's a difference between a consultant and an expert. And so you want to make sure that you're the expert and not the consultant, because the consultant, you can consult the internet. That's a consultant. ChatGPT is a consultant.
ChatGPT and YouTube University.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I've learned a lot off both those things.
For sure.
So you just got to be careful and mindful. But digressing back kind of to what a lot of small business owners just fail to do is just really do the things that you got to do. Cold call. I mean, you got to pick up the phone. And if you open a business and you have no clients, we'll say you open a landscape company or even a gym, and you have no customers. Well, how are people supposed to know about you?
Yeah.
I mean, New York State makes you put a little blurb in the paper for, was it 120 days, which is ridiculous.
Right. And nobody reads the paper anymore. So
right.
And when I used to coach real estate agents on business processes and practices was, if you're not seen, you're unseen.
Right.
And these little devices here have really created a situation, and I've talked to before of there's no boundaries in business.
No, and there's no rules. I mean, it's a gloves off, dirty street fight. Oh.
Yeah, little blip there. No worries.
Would you last hear there?
We were, going into, kind of the old school of some of the, some of the traditional marketing and sales activities still have a little bit of validity,
Yeah.
but realistically, with these things, it's, sky's the limit if you can figure out how to do it and get ahead of the crowd.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of small business owners. I mean, even some of the younger generations trying to get into it. They loathe technology. I mean, they say how much they hate it.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if you do not embrace it and learn how to use it, you will fail.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It doesn't matter what market, what industry you are in. It's basket weaving, lawn care. I mean, you could be a quarry, sorry, chipping away stone. But if people don't know where your stone is, I mean,
Right.
how are they going to order it? So
Right.
you have to embrace technology, and you got to learn how to use it. You can't just be, some people are going to hate this word, but ignorant about it. You just got to, and it's not hard. I mean, YouTube, like you said earlier, Jason, YouTube is just such a tool.
Yeah.
On how to do all this. And if you don't want to go to YouTube and do the search, I mean, go online and Google marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, how to do social media marketing.
Yeah.
And so that's, definitely a big thing. But you're right. I mean, with the cell phone, you're practically unlocked the complete potential to get your business to market. And speed is a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because this world is spinning so fast now, and it's like, what did I hear that you have on
7
social media?
seconds.
You have, was it 7 seconds?
7 seconds to grab someone's
Yep.
attention for
Yep.
them to click on an ad. And if that first 7 seconds doesn't grab it, whether it's an image, a video, or text, they're on to the next thing.
Yep.
And
They're scrolling right by.
yeah. And I mean, some people here probably may not have Facebook. I don't know where you're putting this. Some people have LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter,
Yep.
but beyond all of it, I mean, Twitter, it's tough to go local, but you can hashtag like CNY or I love Central New York, or
Yeah.
hashtag that stuff, and it'll
Yep.
bring up things that are relevant to those threads. LinkedIn is a fantastic tool if your client is a professional,
Right.
but even if they're not, I mean, there's so many people in business that have LinkedIn. I mean, a receptionist or an instructor or consultant of some sort have, most people nowadays have LinkedIn or Instagram. But get on there and just figure it out. I mean, it's don't be scared. I mean, my biggest thing is doing videos of myself. Jason, I always see videos of you, and I'm like, oh, that's one thing I got to get going, but I can't. That the angle is just not right for me.
well, and it's one of when I first started marketing or studying marketing, listening to some of the social media gurus like Gary Vee and so on, they're always like, listen, get over the fact that you don't like the way you look and sound, because that's the way you look and sound.
Yeah.
And just keep doing it. I like my early stuff. I mean, not that everything's excellent, but my early stuff was just, bad. And it's tough for some people. And if you listen to people like Gary Vee and others, like Gary Vee talks about, if you're trying to start your business and you're trying to do your own marketing, you should be putting out 7 pieces of content every day on every platform. That's enormous.
Yeah. I see where he's coming from, but I have a hard time.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have people doing a bunch of things, but I mean, that's 7 pieces. Well, I guess no, I guess not. I mean, we're on our phones, a lot throughout the day. I mean, you get up in the morning, you could post, you have a cup of coffee or stop for a cup of coffee, do a quick post. And it doesn't have to be anything long.
Right.
It can be something pretty quick and simple and cut to the chase.
3 seconds or 7 seconds. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be much, but content is king. I mean, and it's got to be relevant. Some people you could be even if you're browsing the internet looking for something, you stumble across something that's slightly relevant to your industry, may not be completely relevant, and you're like, oh man, this is actually good. Share that with the world. I mean, make it be like, hey, just found this. I don't know who can use this, but this has got some great information, and just share that. I mean, that takes seconds. Every website has a share button.
Every single platform has a share button. By the way, share this podcast. Anybody that's watching it, share it out. Shameless plug. You know, and like, I mean, realistically, like every work day, the first hour or two is you know, creating content for me.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just, and I don't do 7 pieces of content every platform every day. It's maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But it's better than nothing. I have gotten business from my social media. I have made new connections through my social media, and gotten referrals. So, you know, it does work, you know, and it almost goes down the same path as like cold call. Cold call, you may make 100 phone calls, you'll get 2 maybes and 1 yes, and you're shooting for that 1 yes. Maybe only 1%, but you're shooting for that 1 yes. You know, it's social. It's getting that 1 DM saying, "Hey, can you help me with whatever it is?"
Yep.
And now you've got a return on that time investment.
Yeah. And really, you know, and you bring up a good point about that, because so many people, we're reading what our friends posts, right? And we're liking and we're commenting and we're doing that. You turn around and use the search engine inside Facebook and look for people who are looking for recommendations in your social media. So whether it's real estate, insurance, lawn care, painting, whatever it may be, just do that. Do looking for recommendations, plural, and then whatever your industry is. And you would be shocked how many people are out there looking for stuff and asking other people. And you could DM those people. I've done that with insurance.
Yeah.
And it works. I mean, they're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for reaching out. I call these people, and they don't ever call me back." And so it's always, those sort of things. But, social media is a search engine in its entirety.
So, and it could be your marketing manager if you do it right.
Yeah. I mean, that's, there's tools out there that allow you to post to all the platforms in one shot without having to go to each one individually.
Yeah.
So I just launched a CRM. So I did start a digital marketing company because I saw a need for it, and it has a CRM built into it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What the CRM does, and if you're a business owner, you need one. It's a customer relations management system. I mean, you don't have to get mine. I would love you to get mine. Please do. You can go to SpartanCRM.com. Sorry, Jason, dropping that in.
Yeah. Not so innocent plug. That's fine.
But what it allows you to do is track your sales, track your customer interactions, where they're coming from, how much you're making. If you send them an email, if they reply, there's so much there. Our CRM has a lot of things, and one of them is the marketing aspect. It has the ability to market across all the platforms: TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google, Facebook. I feel like I'm missing one. No, I think I got them all.
I think you got them all.
It's got, content builder. It's got, text message, things like that. And it puts it all into one platform. Now, there are some other free ones out there. HubSpot's got a free one. It's a great one. So if you guys need a free one, but the information in your CRM, you live and die by. If it's incorrect or inaccurate, it's worthless. But I see a lot of business owners. They either don't have it, they're using paper.
Well, you know what's fun, and I laugh, but one of my favorite stories to tell is my first company that hired me out of public safety. I got hired to do sales, and I go to this company, and they were a SaaS company. They provided technology to public safety agencies, and as I'm learning about the company and the business and doing sales for them, they were managing their contact lists and their customer lists on Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah, I see that a lot still. And I'm like, why?
And I finally went, guys, what are we doing? We are a SaaS technology company.
That's crazy.
And we're managing, and we're trying to get people to buy our technology to manage their staffs and to do their schedules. And we're managing our customer base on an Excel spreadsheet. Do you see an issue here? And they went out, they hurried up and went out and got Salesforce, but Salesforce was a little much for this company. It was small. So they turned around and got HubSpot, and HubSpot was phenomenal for what we did. But I mean, it was just, pages and pages of spread. And it's like, what are we doing? How do we keep in track? How are you going to set a reminder on the spreadsheet to contact that agency or whatever it might have been? It just, it was hilarious.
Yeah. And I've seen that, man. I've seen people use spreadsheets, and then they're in their Google Calendar setting reminders and all this stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, this thing's $97 a month. Get this, or this one's free. I mean, geez, get these. But leverage the technology that's out there. And if you guys don't, it's just going to be that much harder. So you need to be omnipresent. So we can kind of get into more marketing and sales, right? And so we're going to kind of digress back into that. But the big thing is, we talked about marketing, we talked about sales, but how do you combine the two? And that's being omnipresent. Now, there's a few guys, you mentioned Gary Vee. I love Gary Vee. There's Jeremy Miner, who's a big sales guy too. Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins. Like, study these people. And learn what they're all about. Even if you like we said before, even if you take a little bit of information. One of Grant Cardone's biggest claims to fame is he's omnipresent. I mean, when he's online, he is online, like every platform, YouTube, Instagram, all of them, and text message. So you need to be able to communicate with your clientele, prospective client, by all means necessary. So text messaging.
Yeah, and you should have the option to. I would tell real estate agents when I coached them, like, if you're not using the full extent of your CRM, to be able to set it and forget it, to be able to set reminders, to send out auto text, to send out auto emails. So let the system work for you, so you can pay attention on running your business, because you can either work in the business or work on the business. And as an owner, you should be working on the business.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's so many automations out there and workflows, like you said, that, for example, the way I have it set up in the CRM is, if someone replies to a text message that I sent out, it notifies me immediately. So the one big thing is, certain industries have compliance, right? So be very careful if you're in a space that has compliance, insurance being one of them, and you're text messaging from your personal cell phone number, you have to do screenshots, because you can get into, and really I'm going to get into a little bit of insurance really quick. And this is across the board. Anytime someone files a lawsuit against you, what's going to end up happening is they're going to say, well, he said, she said. And sometimes things happen to our cell phones and we lose text messages, right? So you get a new phone, cell phone crashes, you lose it in the lake, you lose everything. Unless, I think iPhone goes to the iCloud. I'm sure Samsung has a way to do it, but I haven't figured that out yet.
Right.
But if you have one platform that does all that is all in one spot, you can set things like automation. So if someone replies to a text message to my insurance business that says help, it's going to ask them, it's going to reply and say, what do you need help with? And then immediately keeps the conversation going, because, like, we go back to that 7 seconds thing. If you're not first, you're last in business, right?
Sure.
So if you can't answer someone that fast, they're on to the next business. And when people think that they're the only one out there that's in your industry, I hate to say it, but I highly doubt it. Like, I don't know any industry that's ever, there's only one of them, right? So definitely getting some kind of automation, workflows, reminders. Like, if you set an appointment with someone, why am I not getting a reminder? Like, if I set an appointment for a client next week, they get a confirmation, they get a reminder 3 days out, 24 hours out, 1 hour out, and then 5 to 10 minutes out. Normally it's I think it's 8 minutes I have it set to, because it's a weird number. And so it reminds them, it says, hey, you have a meeting with Liam at this time, here's the meeting link, or it's a phone call, whichever one.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a big thing. You need to be on top of your clients, because I mean, as a business owner myself, I get vendors all the time who they send me, either they don't send me something and then they call me, and then I'm pissed. I'm like, you're stopping me in the middle of the day and you're trying to have this conversation. And you're like,
Yep.
well, we schedule this time. Well, you never sent me the invite. Right. So send the invite. Make sure that it has automation built behind it.
Yep.
Calendly does it. I don't know which one's other. Google Calendar does, if you have it set.
Yep.
But make sure it follows up. So I guess the big thing is learn technology, learn what's out there. How can you use it effectively? And if you don't know, ask. I mean,
Yes.
good grief. I mean, there's so many experts and gurus and YouTubes, and
Yep.
it can help.
Yeah,
with
and
all.
one of the practices that I got that honed in on at the beginning of my real estate business was follow up.
Yeah.
Of being right on top of the follow up. My team leader used to say, because at the time I was part time in real estate, and he's like, your follow up's 10 times better than most of my full time people, because I was trying to establish myself. So follow up
Right.
was such a huge deal to me. And I would see some of the listing agents that have been in the business for a number of years. They'd have follow ups checked in their CRM for 2 weeks that had been late, and they never got around to. It's great to have that amount of business that you forget to do the follow-ups, but if you're trying to grow your business or even get established, like, the proof is in the follow-ups.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And you should have a follow-up sequence for 365 days.
Yeah.
So you can get someone, a new prospect, and it just ends up not being the right time, right?
Yep.
You, like Jason, you can call me tomorrow and you can be like, hey, Liam, you're in business. Are you looking for a new space? And it's just not the right time for me to move. And so, you got to have a sequence that communicates with me throughout the year. And I'm not talking about daily, 365 days. Now, in the first week, you need to have a daily, whether it's text message, email, or phone call.
Yep.
The first 5 days.
Yep.
Day 7, day 10, 12, 14. And again, it's 20, 30, and so on and so forth. And that's things like everyone listening, that's stop ins. I mean, unless you're 100% virtual and you're dealing with like a company, if you're here in Central New York and you're dealing with a company in California, I mean, doing a drop in, that's tough. But if you're doing business here in Central New York and you're out and about, stop in. I mean, stop in unannounced. Just be like, hey, I was in the neighborhood.
Yep.
Just figure I stop in, say hi. Here's a little bit of information on what we offer again. Have a great day, and just leave. I mean, that's all it takes. So not following up, I mean, you would be shocked how many insurance agents don't follow up, or if they do, it's the sequence is lacking.
Right. Yeah, they're not creating that regular cadence, like you said. The first week is every day. Past the first week, you can do it every other day, and so on and so on and so on. And going back to the pop-ins, I tell you what, it kind of works, because I was showing a retail property, and it was in a small strip mall, and I had to go next door to an established business to get the key to the vacant space to show the renter. And I went and I showed the space. I got done. I brought the key back to the business owner next door, and he goes, "Hey, can I call you in a couple of weeks? I'm going to be looking for a new space." Sure, absolutely. Here's my card. And you just never know when somebody's going to be looking for what you might be offering.
Right. Especially with COVID. I mean, with the lockdowns and everything that went on, now getting out there, I mean, everyone's still so used to doing virtual. So I do a lot of my insurance business is virtual. It's across the state. Well, it's in 11 states. And so for me to say that, to stop in is difficult. But here in the area, I mean, if I have to go to the VA for something, sometimes I'll stop somewhere I haven't stopped to in a while and just say, hey, just popping in. I actually have had people say, wow, do people still do that? Like stop in and door knock? And I'm like, apparently not, if you're asking me that. They're like, yeah, nobody stops in anymore. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys get out there and literally knock and just say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and this is a service I offer. You may not be in the market for my services right now, but if you know someone who's looking, here's my information. Leave some business cards. Business cards are cheap. Get them. Don't go anywhere without them. I mean, you should always have business cards on you. If you don't
Yes.
have them on you, you should have the digital version. But carry business cards. I mean, some of the little old school tactics, like you were saying, Jason, they still work.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
business,
They and I've been caught with all. I got caught a couple of times without business cards, right? So
yeah,
then I went and created a digital one just in case. So if for some reason I ran out of business cards and I didn't have one to give, I'll just, hey, give me your phone number. I'll text you my digital one. So not only do they get your digital business card, but now you have their phone number
yes,
to follow up on.
yeah,
So you just never know until you can always bring value, but you never know until you ask. And even the simple thing of it, you could go to the coffee shop, sit down with your laptop, work from the coffee shop for an hour or two, set your business cards next to it, and see what conversations you can have if somebody happens to walk by and look at what you're doing.
yeah. I mean, people are nosy. Whether if
Yeah,
you want your
for
privacy,
sure.
if you want your privacy
If
kept, well,
if you can get them out of these, they're nosy.
right. But if you're at a Starbucks, doing work and you don't want people knowing about it, you shouldn't be there.
Right.
Because people are going to look. They're going to
Yeah.
peek on your screen. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I do it. I'm nosy. I want to know what you do because maybe what
Yeah.
you do is going to help me. But for sure, Jason, you're 100% right. I mean, getting that contact information, especially if you're like, hey, let me get your phone number. I'll text you my contact information. Then you do have their information. The other great thing is one of the things I learned a couple of years ago is if you meet someone, the second you walk out from meeting them, send them a video. If you have their cell phone number, or even if you have
Oh
their
yeah,
email,
yeah.
take a video outside
Yep.
their building and just say, hey, Jason, it was great to meet you. I'm really looking forward to talking with you in the future or working with you. Hey, this is my contact information. If anything, comes up sooner, hit me up, and then send it to them. Like that is just crazy how many responses you get just doing that alone.
It's funny you mentioned that because of all the videos I make, that's one thing that I haven't done on a consistent basis of just instead of sending a text, an email, or dropping a voicemail, is sending those video messages. And you're right, because it's proven to have more organic connection that way. I'm going to have to keep that in the back of my mind to do that more moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it works. I've done it, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow. And people are like, oh yeah, great. Hey, got your video. Thank you so much. Yeah, and then they keep in their email or they keep in their text because now they have a face, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep. And the other thing I found that works well is voice messages. If you don't
oh
want
my
to just send a
god,
text message, just send a quick voice message of, hey, blah 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 blah, and it's same kind of message. You're just not doing it
yeah,
on video; it's just audio.
yeah. My wife's a huge user of voice messages. She's like
It
all
just,
the time.
if people have the opportunity just to be able to listen to it instead of reading and then
Reading it.
replying,
Yeah, yeah, because they could be
um,
busy. I mean, that's what she said, and it makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, for sure. Well, Liam, this has been an outstanding conversation, and I hope a lot of folks have taken value from what we've heard discussed here today. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
You can Facebook, LinkedIn. You can look me up on Facebook, Liam O'Brien. Um, it's if you do Facebook or LinkedIn, it's Liam T.S. O'Brien. If you're on Twitter, it's Liam O'Brien, OBRIEN _NO1, because I am the number one.
You're the number one guy.
Yeah, same with Instagram. I don't check Instagram too much, so please don't message me on that. But message me on
Absolutely.
Facebook or LinkedIn. Those are the two best. But if you want to call me, you can reach me 315-625-6864. And then there's always email. So my main email is going to be Liam, Liam.O'Brien, Obrien at pcfginsurance.com. But if you want to talk about marketing, sales, or anything like that, let me know.
Outstanding. And you know, if for some reason you can't find Liam on social, don't hesitate to, you know, reach out to me and I'll be happy to connect you. So with that, you know, if anybody, you know, if you got any value out of this, please share it. Drop a comment. Let us know what you thought. Let me know, you know, of any other pieces of information you'd want to hear on the podcast. You know, I'm trying to grow this community into something outstanding here in Central New York, and that's the main purpose of the podcast. So with that, Liam, thank you again. I appreciate you taking the time here at the end of your day.
Thanks, Jason, for having me.
Outstanding. And for everybody else, until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Have a great day.